beautiful loves. It is Ashley Love here. I am the founder of the I Am Simply Beautiful global movement to empower women to love who they are, make big, bold moves towards their dreams, and to walk in the purpose that they have for their life. And so today is a topic that a lot of people don't really talk about. It happens to each and every one of us sometime, some point in our lives, and a lot of times it kind of gets glanced over, it gets kind of pushed under the rug, and that is when we actually fall and hit rock bottom. Has there ever been a time in your life, or maybe you're in that space right now, where you feel like there's nowhere to go? There's nowhere left to go as far as going downward because you're already there. It seems like that everything around you is just crumbling. You don't know if there's a solution to your problems. You're unsure of just everything. And so I'm here today, first off, to tell you that there is going to be light at the end of the tunnel, that you're not going to stay in darkness forever. But there are some things that you can do right now. Starting right now, if you want to, if you desire to get out of this space where you feel like there's nowhere left to go. Honestly, there isn't anywhere else to go but up. See, that's the thing about hitting rock bottom. There's so many times we think of rock bottom as being this place where there's nothing that you can do with your life. You're just basically, you hit that place and you're a failure. I'm here to tell you you're not a failure. Even the most intelligent people, the most confident people, even the people that make or believe they're making positive, powerful decisions can end up hitting rock bottom. Okay, so the first thing I want you to really understand at this point is that you're not alone. You are not alone in this. You may feel alone. You may feel like you're the only person in the world that's in this situation, the only person in the world that made the screwed up decisions that you made, or made the decisions that you thought were right, but they didn't turn out the way you really had planned and hoped and envisioned that they would. But you're not alone. And so the first thing I want you to do is stop thinking like you are stuck in this place of darkness and you're alone. But I want you to realize that there is a way out. And I'm going to give you some tips today to help you do what you got to do today so that you can work your way out of being at rock bottom and start moving back up. Start living your life. Okay, number one is I want you to accept responsibility for where you're at. I think sometimes that's the hardest thing, is to realize, even as much as we can sometimes cut ourselves down, we don't accept the responsibility that the decisions that we made, whether we thought they were good at the time or whether we knew they were wrong and we still did them, or whether we believed that this whole plan that we had was going to work, whatever it was for you, I want you to realize that the decisions you made in your life somehow played a part in where you're at right now, at rock bottom. And you have to accept that responsibility and say, hey, I did do this. Maybe I shouldn't have spent that money. Or maybe I should have listened to XYZ's advice. Or maybe I shouldn't have quit school, quit my job. Or maybe I shouldn't have taken that job knowing that I couldn't fulfill those responsibilities. Whatever it is, whether it's regarding your relationships, whether it's regarding your finances and your job and your business, whether it's regarding your health, the first thing that you have to do to make a change is to accept responsibility for it. You know, we start talking to little children and we start saying, you know, you need to start taking responsibility for your actions. Every action, there is a reaction, there is a repercussion, or there's a consequence, or there is a benefit. Whatever you sow is going to come back to you, and you will reap whatever harvest it is, positive or negative. We preach this all the time to children, but as we grow up as adults, we start to forget about that. And the easiest thing that we can do, especially with social media, is point the finger and say, well, it was her fault. You know, if she wouldn't have said, you know, that I needed to quit my job, or she wouldn't have said that, you know, I needed to take that trip and spend my rent money, then I wouldn't have been here. No. It's time to start taking responsibility for the decisions that we make in our life. The second thing is I want you to let go of everything. Now, what do I mean by that? You're sitting there like, okay, Ashley, let go of everything. How am I supposed to let go of everything? Let me tell you, when you're at rock bottom, and again, there's nowhere left to go but up, you're in darkness, you have to realize you just now are accepting responsibility for the decisions that you've made that led to this point. So if those decisions got you to where you are, it's time to make some new ones, and it's time to let go of everything that led you to this point. If it's a bad habit that you have that led you here, whether that's a spending habit, whether that is a drug habit, regardless of what that is, it's time to let that go. If you have a procrastination habit that you ended up not paying on something for a certain amount of time, or you didn't get your webinar together, if you're a business owner and you were trying to get that together and you put it out there and then all of a sudden it didn't get done because you procrastinated, you have to let go of what got you there. Was it family, friends, associates, acquaintances, whatever you want to call them, that ended up having some kind of influence on the decisions that you made that were negative and that impacted your life to get you to where you're at now? Then it's time to let them go. Were you allowing constant negative vibes, negative tension? Sometimes what you need to let go of is your own thoughts. If it was yourself telling you, don't take that opportunity, don't do what you gotta do, be lazy, oh, give up way too soon, then maybe you need to let go of those negative thoughts. What is that for you? So you're accepting responsibility for those actions. Now it's time to let go of those influences, those decisions, those habits that ended up playing a huge role in getting you to where you're at right now. What is that for you? I want you to really think about that. Number 3, I want you to stop playing the blame game. That's what we just talked about, and it is something serious. I see constantly these days, everyone's playing the blame game. It was her fault, it was his fault, it was their fault, but not one person says, well, hey, you know what? It was my fault. Let me fix this. It was my fault. If you are actually taking responsibility for where you're at in your life and the decisions you made, then you have got to stop playing the blame game and realize that even if all of it wasn't your fault, guess what? You played a huge role in it. You have to accept that responsibility. They didn't make you. Those people, those other factors, oh my gosh. If she wouldn't have let her car run out of gas, I'd have made it to work on time. If he would have not bought Xbox, the newest one, freaking we'd have been able to pay the bills. If, oh my gosh, if my mom would have been more in my life, I'd have been a better person. If my job wasn't so hard, I wouldn't be so stressed out. And no, stop blaming everything else, and again realize you're at where you're at because of the decisions that you've made and the influences that negatively impacted you to get here. Remember, step 2, we're getting rid of them. So we can no longer blame everything or everybody else, because now the focus is on us. Because the only person that's going to be able to pull you out of where you're at right now is yourself. That may literally step on somebody's toes right now, but it's the truth. You can sit here and you can complain and you can whine about where you're at in your life. You can beg for everybody else to lift you back up. But you have got to be the one that puts in the time, that puts in the effort, that changes your mind frame, that stops playing the blame game, so that you can pick yourself back up and you can change your life. Because Lord knows I don't want any of you, any of us, to be in the same situation we are right now. Regardless of whether you're at rock bottom or regardless of where you are in your journey, it's time to grow. It's time to make moves. It's time to stop settling. Half the time we hit rock bottom is because we settle for less. I want you to literally take note of that. Half the time that we hit rock bottom is because we're settling for less. We're settling for less than we desire. We're settling for less than we deserve. We're getting depressed because we're not getting anywhere, and yet we're not making any moves or changing anything or doing anything different than we were before. What I always say is, how can you expect a different result if you're doing the same thing over and over again? If I tie my shoe the exact same way, it's going to be tied the exact same way. I can't expect it to be gorgeous in some fancy knot if I tied it the same way I've always tied it. If I make my coffee dark and I don't put cream and I don't put sugar in it, I can't expect it to be sweet. I can't expect it to not be bitter. We're out here expecting results for things that we're not even doing what we got to do to even sow the seed so we can reap the harvest we desire. So how in the world can we expect to have all these amazing things in our lives if we're not putting in the work? We're getting too comfortable. In this day and age, everything is about being comfortable. Everything is about convenience. Oh my goodness, if I need a new phone, I can go right on Amazon. I can order it. Nowadays, who knows, within a day it can be at my house. If I want something to eat within 5 minutes, somebody else will cook it for me. If I need to learn something, I've got YouTube. Go straight to YouTube. Boom. There it is. Everything is about convenience, which is taking away from the fact that to gain something must change. Something must be done. There must be action taken. So don't get it twisted just because our world is all about convenience, that you can just get where you want to go in life without putting in any effort. So that goes into our number 4. Is I want you to use rock bottom. I want you to use rock bottom as your foundation. Your foundation to rebuild. Your foundation, your foundational trampoline is what I'm going to call it. You want a solid foundation. There's nowhere else you can go. Remember that. You're at rock bottom. You can't go down. So we're going to start to build that solid foundation. And that solid foundation is what is going to then keep catapulting you to new levels, catapulting you to new advancements in your life, to new opportunities in your life. And each one of those advancements and each one of those opportunities is going to take a new version of you. And it's going to take a better version of you. It's going to take a new focus level. You're going to be playing higher. So what I want you to think about, and you're sitting there right now, I'm sure saying, well, okay, now Ashley, I'm at rock bottom now. Why are you talking about these next levels that I'm going to be hitting and what they're going to take? Because what you build as a foundation right now is what you're stacking everything else upon. What you are building, I want you to use this as your platform. Use this as your base. It's time to accept that responsibility. Let go of everything that ended up getting you into this situation in the first place. Stop playing the blame game and start using this time in your life to create new habits, to do things differently, to change your mindset, to change your health and your eating habits, and to start to really build something that is going to last. You want to know why you see people that climb the ladder, climb the ladder, climb the ladder? You're looking at them like, dang, if I could only be where they're at. And they're so successful one day. And then all of a sudden, bam, they crash and burn. Why? Because they didn't have a solid foundation. So I want you to think of this as your second chance at building a solid foundation for your life. What changes do you need to make? What bricks do you need to lay to make that foundation strong? So that all your goals, hopes, dreams, desires, everything you want to accomplish and manifest is able to be stacked layer by layer on that foundation. Next, I want you to actually sit there in this very moment, and I want you to feel what you're feeling. Oftentimes when we hit rock bottom, or we even are faced with a situation that is not desirable, our first notion is, I don't want to feel that feeling. It's hard. That feeling stings when you get to a place where you're like, I've screwed up. Or, you know, I didn't do what I needed to do. Or they looked down upon me, or they bullied me, or whatever your situation is. I want you to sit right now. And I want you to start feeling what you're feeling. Stop masking that. Because let me tell you what happens when you start masking that is it keeps festering. And it keeps festering inside. And although you might be on the outside smiling and happy and, oh, my life is amazing, on the inside, you're literally killing yourself. You are literally tearing yourself down piece by piece. We have feelings for a reason. And those feelings are what help us to judge what's going on, to experience what's going on around us. Think about it this way, okay? So if alcohol is used to ease your pain, every time something goes wrong, you use alcohol as the mask to your pain. It's the mask to get away. Tell me if I'm wrong, but when the alcohol wears off, the problem is still there. When the mask wears off, the problem is still there. The feelings are still there, and when you don't deal with feelings and you sweep them under a rug, what happens is they just get greater and they get greater and they get greater and they get greater and they get greater until it literally makes you either have to deal with them or, well, you just give up. And I don't think that any of us are going to give up. Matter of fact, I know that none of us are going to give up. So it's time to start dealing with your feelings. Feel them. If they sting, you'll live. If they hurt, okay. Life hurts. But when you really acknowledge them and release them, that's when you're able to get past them. The next thing is I want you to make peace with yourself where you're at. But Ashley, you just said don't get comfortable. I didn't say get comfortable. I never said get comfortable. I said make peace with where you are right now. Make peace within yourself. This is where I'm at. Okay? Where am I going? Stop sitting there and saying, I hate this place where I'm at. I can't stand this place. This place is horrible. You're in constant turmoil over where you're at. You're never gonna get anywhere like that. You're going to be in constant turmoil, and that's going to prevent you from being able to make any moves or any decisions. It's going to make you so depressed that you feel like you just want to give up. So make peace with where you are. That doesn't mean that you accept it as where you're going to be forever. But you need to acknowledge that that's where you're at right now. And you're working on moving forward so that you can better your life, see the light on the other side. Start to enjoy things. Start to live out your purpose. But if you don't acknowledge where you're at and say, okay, I'm here, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there someday, but I'm here right now. And while you acknowledge where you're at and make peace with that, I want you to also stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Do you know the worst thing is when you sit there and you see these people's glitz and glamour on social media and all this, oh my gosh, you know, I'm the bomb, I'm amazing 24 hours a day. Believe me when I tell you, nobody wakes up like that every morning. Nobody smiles and has a positive attitude 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Nobody doesn't have any struggles, any problems. See, you see this facade, you see this social media facade, and then you think, I'm behind, I've hit rock bottom, my life is horrible, look how far she is ahead of me. Guess what? Your life is your life. Your life is not hers, his. Your life is not Peter, Paul's, Mary's. Your life is yours. Your life is yours, and this is all about taking back control of your life. So while you're building that foundation, stop comparing yourself and your journey to everybody else's. Because let me tell you something that I learned early on in my confidence journey and my business journey is that, you know, while you're comparing yourself to where they're at right now, they're at their limit. They're at their glass ceiling. You are going to bust that glass ceiling. And you may have the potential to go 10 levels higher than that person that's at their cap right now and is trying to bust that glass ceiling. But maybe that one is the end of their journey. That is their cap. While this right here, this is just your beginning. But you're comparing, so you're saying, well, geez, I haven't made it there yet. Not realizing that your potential and your skill and your gifts have the ability to take you way further. If you just put your mind to it and do what you've got to do. The next thing, and this is number 7. So I want you to find yourself again. Oftentimes when we get knocked down, we realize that somewhere along the lines, we've lost ourselves. We've lost who we are. We've lost what we love. We've lost that fire, that desire that we have. We lose that. And if that's you today, I want you to figure out who you are. Who are you? What do you love to do? What is your vision for your life? So if you're considering this rock bottom, where do you want to go? What do you want to see? What do you want to do? What opportunities do you want to open for you? This is something that I always talk about is if you don't know where you're going, then how in the heck are you going to even know when you get there? Are you literally going to ride around in circles? If you're at rock bottom now and you don't know where you're trying to go, how will you know when you're going up compared to when you're going left and right in this dark space? Half the time when we feel like we're at the bottom, we don't even realize it. But we're not building that foundation. We're going in circles right in that little dark space. Or we're building one brick. We're building one, and then we're knocking it back down again. And we want to say that, oh my goodness, I can't get anywhere. But it's us, because we don't know where we're going or what we're trying to build in the first place. So we're knocking ourselves back down. I want you to find out. Take time with yourself. The only way you're going to learn yourself and learn to find out all of these things is to take that time. Spend that energy. You don't have, if you are at this place right now and you're constantly saying, well, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. Well, I can't do that. Well, I can't do this. Well, I don't have the funds. Well, I'm not good enough. Well, things aren't going my way. If you're constantly making up all of these excuses and you're spending all your time and efforts on doing that, then why the heck can't you be spending that time and those efforts on building yourself, on learning yourself? That way you can end up knowing what you need to do to create that solid foundation. The next thing, number 8, I want you to stop closing yourself off. When you're living in that bubble, that is so-called the bottom, it's that dark space, it is the, basically you're in a rut. Oftentimes, we bubble ourselves off. Well, I don't want them to know what's going on. I don't want them to judge me. Well, what if they know that this has happened in my life? How will they react? Well, what if they just write me off and kick me to the curb because of this? What if, I never recover? Or I lose my friends? Or what if my family doesn't want to be around me anymore? Let me tell you something. Those people that support you and love you aren't going to be there. They're not going anywhere. So while you're worried about pleasing them and you're winding yourself around, and making yourself worse off, you need to be focusing on building that foundation and getting the right group of people around you. It's time to pop that bubble. You're the only one that can make the decision to do this and to better your life. Okay? But you also need support. You also need people that are there for you, that want to see you succeed. Remember, back in, what was that? Number 2, let everything go. Now we're going to bring back the people that are there to support us and to love us. Why do you think people have support groups? Why do you think people go to AA meetings? Why do you think people go to Weight Watchers? Why do you think all these different businesses are so packed and readily available everywhere? Because people need support. You need support. You need your own support first. That's what we talked about already. But now you need support and accountability so that you don't fall off as you're building these different elements and these different steps. Number 9, I want you to realize that this darkness isn't going to last forever. I mentioned this at the beginning. This darkness isn't going to last forever. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You will get there. But you can't get there by standing still. Do you realize that you right now could be in a dark room, the dark room of your life, and there's a doorknob right there, and you're sitting there lazy, depressed, upset, mad because things aren't going right? And yet if you just got up and opened that door, you'd be in a totally different room, a totally different space. Things would change drastically. But again, you've got to make that decision. Everything that I have talked about begins with you. And lastly, is I want you to recreate your life. Number 10. This is a blank page. This is a new chapter. So what? Your life in the past went to hell. So what? You didn't do what you were supposed to do. The opportunities, you blew them. The relationships, you screwed them up. You ended up, taking on way more than you can handle. You let people bully you and run you over. You wasted your money. You did all of these different things. Again, we're letting them go today. Now it's about recreating your life. What do you want from this point forward? What picture do you want to see? What do you want to see in 5 years from now? In a year from now? In 6 months from now? Tomorrow? What can you do today to help to build that foundation, to get yourself out of this rut that you're in and make your life better so that you can see everything that you desire, so that you can see the fruits of your effort, so that you can see what you're really made of, who you were made to become. So I challenge you today that although you may be in a rut, it's time to get the hell out of it. It's time to see yourself differently, to walk differently, to talk differently, speak positivity in your life, make those moves you've got to make, get rid of those things that are holding you back and that have got you to this position in the first place. It's time for you to start accepting that responsibility and doing what you've got to do to make it. And I wish you all of the best, that on this journey, you will build that solid foundation and start moving up the ladder of your life to where you want to go. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and subscribe to my channel. Also hit the likes button and turn on post notifications so that you can get all of my upcoming content. I've got some amazing things in store for you. My website is IamAshleyALove.com, and don't forget to follow me on all social media platforms at IamAshleyALove. You have an amazing, amazing day. And remember, it all starts with you right now. It's in your hands. So do something about it. Make the choice, make the decision, and let's get it.